there. Welcome to the Aspect Podcast Network, the home of Bending the Narrative. Go ahead, hit that subscribe button below and be the first to listen to our new episodes and other shows from the Aspect, covering topics such as Marvel, Star Wars, Game of Thrones, and more. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Bending the Narrative here on the Aspect Network. I'm one of your hosts, Kate Kroonquist, and joining me every week to discuss the latest and the greatest in the world of Avatar: The Last Airbender is Alex Batts. Alex, how you doing?
I'm doing great. We've got a big one this week. We're continuing our book 2 rewatch with the episodes The Serpent's Pass and The Drill, which are combined as a 2-part special collectively titled The Secrets of the Fire Nation.
Very exciting. Now let's continue tracking our characters' separate journeys on our handy dandy map here, because we do have some good journeys on this one.
Yeah, so I love how this episode opens and they're just like not in the desert at all. Like we don't see them leave the desert.
See them get out.
I literally, whenever I started this episode, I was like very confused for a second. I was like, am I watching the right episode? Like they just straight up.
I never thought about that actually.
Like they don't, which I mean, it's fine. Like they just use the sand sailor, I guess, to like get out. And like the people said they would help show them out of the desert. So like it's fine. But yeah, they just start in a completely different, like Katara's doing a cannonball. She calls it like a water bending bomb or something. Then when she jumps up, but she's just like diving off of a waterfall and they're all like surrounded in this nice,
how did we get here?
Like nice air. And I'm like, oh, okay, we just teleported, I guess. Yeah. So we start off a little bit outside of Full Moon Bay and like at the waterfall pond thing, and then moving back into the ferry station as they're trying to get passage into Ba Sing Se, which is cool. So that's what they're doing. Zuko and Iroh are like also pretty close to that. They like are also trying to get passage into Ba Sing Se and like dealing with that, and they encounter some other people on their way there. And then as we get through the Serpent's Pass with this episode titled The Serpent's Pass, obviously the gang spends most of the episode, going along that dangerous little, I don't know exactly what that would be called because it's not, it's a pass. It's like
the pass on Serpent's Pass.
Yeah. Oh no, what are they? There's a specific, it's not a, it's not a peninsula. No, it's like a land bridge. It's a land bridge obviously, but like it's, I don't know. I forget what the name of the thing would be. But anyways, they spend
that map where it's like all the geological
names of stuff.
Names. That's in every classroom.
Beyond me.
And people are like, just want to stare at this all day. I want to go to there.
Yeah. So they spend most of the episode going across that and making their way towards Ba Sing Se. And then for the drill, they spend the majority of the episode like right on and outside the wall for Ba Sing Se, while Zuko and Iroh are at the ferryway station and kind of around Full Moon Bay as they're trying to get into Ba Sing Se. And then by the end of that episode, so Zuko and Iroh are a little bit like north of where the gang are. They're like closer to the Ba Sing Se.
They stay kind of parallel to them in these.
They're like, they're on the other side of Full Moon Bay, I think, from what I'm gathering from this map. And like, then they just need to get the actual like ferry ride to like get access into the city proper and to like be let in. So like that's where they are for that, and trying to like then get into Ba Sing Se, which Zuko and Iroh get in there eventually.
Wait. Sorry, right? I'm thinking of something, but I think we'll talk about it later. I'm just realizing something.
Okay.
But
we'll get to
this later in the episode.
So it's all the groups going towards like they're around this Full Moon Bay area and then moving towards Ba Sing Se and the outer wall with the drill, and ending the episode either right inside the city or right on the wall of the city.
Yeah, we don't get in the city. Yeah, we don't see any of the city yet.
Not the city proper. We see kind of the like farmlands and stuff around it.
Just a little bit
to begin.
Which I'm excited for the shots that we're gonna get.
Oh, it's so good. It's so great.
Next week's episode, we'll get to see all of Ba Sing Se. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Super exciting.
We've been waiting all season 2 to get here.
It's been a journey. So book 2, episode 11, The Serpent's Pass, is directed by Ethan Spalding and written by Michael Dante DiMartino and Joshua Hamilton, while book 2, episode 12, The Drill, is directed by Giancarlo Volpe and written by co-creators Michael Dante DiMartino and Brian Konietzko.
And this marks actually just the second time in the series where the co-creators Michael and Brian share a standalone writing credit. The last was The Blue Spirit. And if you're just joining us, we will be discussing the show in its totality, so do be warned of spoilers.
Oh yeah, fun stuff.
Hmm.
So these episodes, I'm going to go through both of the synopses for these
Hmm.
episodes before we like get into things. So the Serpent's Pass. After leaving the desert, the group meets up with Suki and attempts to lead a family through the Serpent's Pass. They are attacked by a
Love her.
giant serpent, but manage to ward it off and make it across. Meanwhile, Zuko and Iroh are also on their way to start a new life in the Earth Kingdom capital of Ba Sing Se and encounter Jet and some of the freedom fighters, with whom Zuko starts to bond. The group finally makes its way to Ba Sing Se, only to find the Fire Nation is about to send a gigantic drill to the city's wall. And then in the drill, after having successfully navigated the Serpent's Pass, Aang is determined to journey to Ba Sing Se in the hopes of finding his lost bison, Appa. However, he discovers the Fire Nation drill heading straight for the wall, intent on destroying it. So Aang and the group succeed in demolishing the drill from the inside of the mechanism. Meanwhile, Jet wishes to recruit Zuko as a member of the Freedom Fighters, only to learn that Zuko and Iroh are firebenders. So there's a ton that happens in these two episodes. There's a lot of
Yeah, I was
returning
like, that was a
characters.
summary.
Yeah, it's the big points, right? But yeah, there's a lot that happens in here. We get, I think the most hype returning character for me is Suki. Getting to see Suki again is
Hmm.
awesome. She's great. Like, I love whenever they're in, because before they decide to go to the Serpent's Pass, they're trying to just get normal passage, and they do get normal passage
Hmm.
because Toph is able to use the fact that she has a last name
Love
as,
the only one,
yeah, like the only person in the world that like has a last name, and so the ticket
except in
lady,
Korra,
yeah, right. We get
the
Asami.
only
I'm
other time.
forgetting her last name now, but yeah, she gets to use her clout as being a super rich person, and so the lady's like, oh, okay, like you can get through, and like she approves all four of their tickets as well, and so
I
like
love how
they're
she's
gonna
like,
get
these look so official.
yeah. So like Toph uses that, and they are going to get normal entrance,
Hmm.
but then the couple and the pregnant, like one of them being a pregnant woman who they've
Hmm.
like bonded with, they get
Oh, this
denied.
was the pregnant woman that Zuko was going to rob, but then he didn't because he saw that she was pregnant. From
Right.
the Zuko loan episode. This is
Man,
that same couple.
they're making a journey, because we also see them
Yeah.
in the drill at the end of the drill whenever um
Oh yeah, because they're
Iroh,
still with. Yeah,
'cause they're
they
not,
just make it onto the train with Iroh
yeah,
and
with
Zuko at the
Iroh, and
end.
Iroh's like, oh, like what a cute baby,
Which I
which is,
love that they're kind of their paths are kind of touching a little bit. That's really cool. I
it's
love that they
also
almost meeting.
like almost intersect. It's also interesting though,
Yeah.
because I'm wondering how they got that train pass, because they didn't get the first pass, but
Oh.
they do end up on a train like into the city. I guess like once you get to a certain point, they're like, oh, you're fine. I
Yeah, I
guess.
guess it's like, okay, here's or I think they just could it be free? I'm
Yeah,
I'm excited to learn about the infrastructure of Ba Sing Se and how they work as a society and how their trains work
and how there's no war in
and how
Boston
there's
Say.
no war in Ba Sing Se.
Um, but yeah, so like we get them. Anyways, that
Mhm.
couple is not approved, and so that's the whole reason that Aang is like, okay, well, like we'll guide you through the Serpent's
Mhm.
Pass and make sure that you're able to get through here. So then you get the gang and Suki guiding this couple through the Serpent's Pass and trying to get through all of that. That whole sequence I think is really cool. You have the Fire Nation ship on like
Mhm.
one side that like starts attacking them
Love.
at one point,
Mhm. And
and
they
having
just
like,
obliterate it easy.
oh yeah,
That
this is
used
not
to
even
be like
close.
the biggest target for our characters. So I love that we see that we've grown because that was just a little thing that they could hit and be fine with. Also,
Yeah,
something really cool when they go to enter the Serpent's Pass, there's a big gate, and on it is written all
abandon
hope,
all
like
hope.
abandon all hope, which is a reference to Dante's Inferno,
Yeah,
which the words
abandon.
abandon all hope, ye who enter here,
Yep,
in front of the gates of hell.
which is very
So,
cool.
okay,
Love
interesting
that.
callback, guys.
I
Yeah.
also respect for them like dropping the back half since it's a kids show, like,
Yeah, they're like,
and
let's just put some Dante's Inferno in here.
they just like shorten it a little bit. Yeah, no, it's a really cool reference though, and like every time they mention and say it, I'm like, ah, I know that thing. Um,
Oh, and also before we even got there,
mhm.
when we were getting our tickets, the Cabbage Man is back.
Right, we do see
How
him
can we
again,
not talk about the Cabbage Man?
and he doesn't get admittance because she's like, I don't remember what she calls it, but something that could be in the cabbages that could like
The
spoil.
slugs,
Yeah,
which
the slugs.
actually, fun fact, if you slow it down, when they explode his cabbage thing, you see
Mhm.
a slug fly through the air.
So he would have
He
ruined
did
everything,
have a cabbage slug.
actually.
Mm-hmm.
And so so that actually was a just thing for him to not be let in, poor guy.
Yeah.
Sucks to suck. Yeah, we see him. I also love whenever, like, before they get to the Serpent's Pass, when Suki like approaches Sokka and like starts like talking to him, and he's like, "Do I know you?"
No idea.
So she has none of the makeup on, so he doesn't like recognize her. It's just such a funny moment. But
So
yeah,
funny.
so
Yeah,
that
the next line, Katara is like, "You look so different without your makeup."
and it's like, I
Don't
mean,
ever say
yeah,
that to a girl.
that was one of the things I thought about. I was like, oh,
Morning.
that's like not a like great. I mean, it makes sense because she wears like full face like
Yeah,
makeup and everything. So like
wear
it's
your
like
makeup.
okay, yeah, like it's a very different thing. But yeah, I was like, oh, that's not like the best. um,
That's not a nice thing to say.
but I love how she just like doesn't even acknowledge that. Like Katara says that, and Suki just like doesn't say
It's like
anything or like react.
she's
Um,
confident in herself. Okay,
yeah,
she's reassured in there.
love
Love
Suki.
Suki.
No, one of the things though, there's a lot that happens on the Serpent Pass, like
Mhm.
as they're going through it. But one of the things that I mentioned this last week, where there was like 5 different solutions to this problem. But like whenever they get to the
Oh,
part
yeah.
in it where like the pass just like goes underwater and they have to cross the water channel, and like one,
Yes.
it's super cool that Katara starts to like one just like part the water, but then creates the little like air. She gets help from Aang, and they both are like creating the like air bubble thing.
That is
But then
cool.
which like is a super cool moment and like shows like them how powerful they are, how well they work together, and all of that. But then like the serpent is around them, and so they get freaked out, and the water starts like collapsing, and so then Toph has to like lift them up out of the water. Like she uses earthbending to like just create a little island for them in the middle. And I'm like, okay, why didn't Toph just like create a like she
A
could have
whole
just
thing.
lifted? Yeah, she
But there
just
was
could have
Katara
lifted.
could have. I guess why she didn't do an ice path, maybe because somebody could have slipped.
Yeah,
And
because then yeah, because the other thing where it's like the other solution. So like Toph lifts them up, and like they have a little island. And I'm like, okay, well you just could have like lifted the Earth up all the way across, and you guys
yeah,
should have just walked across like the whole way, and it would have been fine. And then the other solution when they get stuck on the island, and then they need to then get across quickly to like cover the other half. Katara just like in 2 seconds puts like just turns the water into ice so they can like walk across that like super quickly. I'm like, oh well, you also could have just done
you
that to
could have
begin
done
with.
that.
Like, and I
Yeah,
feel like that would have been less effort also. So it's just funny that they like show these 3 different things, and I'm like, any one of these would have worked actually, and
would have
probably been
worked.
like less effort than the air bubble thing. I'm glad we got to see the air bubble though,
But I
because
mean,
it
that
was
was
sick.
cool.
It
Love
was
seeing
very
that.
cool. It's really cool animation, and like really it's awesome. But like that, I was like, man, you just showed us like 3 different solutions to this, and like you didn't need to go through all the effort,
All
but it's
that.
fun.
It's
Also
cool. She's
though,
kind of like Moses.
yeah, I mean that's the number. Yeah, she's like parting the sea, and I'm like, oh, that's sick. It would be even
That's
cooler if she just like parts the
did
whole
the
sea like the
whole thing.
whole time. Yeah, and just like they just are able to walk, and they don't even need the like air bubble.
Because what
That'd
am I
be
thinking of?
insane.
The Prince of Egypt when they do it, and it's
I haven't seen
like you
that.
see all the fish. How have you not seen the Prince of Egypt?
My bad.
So good, so good. Animated classic, guys. We're taking a break. We're going
Mhm.
to talk about the Prince of Egypt right now. Animated classic.
Maybe I
Great
have seen it.
music.
Maybe it's just been like since I was a child.
It's amazing. Deliver Us, bop. Only
Sure.
bops.
Yep. I
Amazing.
100% agree.
Go back to Avatar. Anyways.
It's so funny when they're in the little air bubble and Momo like goes to swim out and like get one of the little like fish.
The
It's a great
fishes.
moment.
It's so
Um,
cool. I love that. But
I was gonna say, fun fact: the serpent that shows up is the serpent that they were like that they had Aang fighting in the unaired pilot, like the original like
oh,
test episode. Like that's the same serpent,
mhm,
which is pretty cool that they like did still end up using that design
mhm.
and like had him come back. Um,
That
I
is
also
so
love
interesting.
yeah, it's just cool to see. It's
Mhm.
such a like really cool design for the serpent. And I also love like whenever he first shows up and Sokka's
It
like,
looks like a
Suki, how do
Pokemon.
we like fight him? And Suki's like, just because I live next to the Unagi does not make me an expert on like these
I'm
giant
fighting
serpents.
these
Like
things. But it
um
was like he looks like a Pokemon. Which one?
he
It's
does.
Magikarp, but
Yeah. Like an
um
evolved Magikarp.
the evolved Magikarp. What is he
I don't
called?
know his
Again,
name.
something I know nothing about.
It's been
I
a
keep
long time since I've been in like my Pokemon era. I was like
yeah.
7, so it's been a
But
little bit.
something that I realized earlier when they were walking, they were like, "Oh, the Fire Nation is doing something over on that side, but they're keeping it a secret." I
Mhm.
wonder if that was either is that Lake Laogai? Isn't Lake Laogai outside of Ba Sing Se? Or is
Yeah,
that I wonder
it
if that's the
is.
drill.
I think
Maybe
it can't be the drill because the drill's already like way further ahead of them. Like
yeah.
it's on
Oh
the
yeah,
land.
it's already there. You're right.
Yeah, like it's basically at the wall. It's probably
But I
Lao
wonder
Guy.
what that's in reference to, or if we know if
Hmm.
they're doing something. But something I realized, I was like, maybe that was Lake Lao guy.
Yeah, I can see
'Cause
that.
I don't see it. I didn't see it on the map, I don't think. I
Hmm.
don't know where that is or if that's in. Yeah, I
Bring the
wonder
map
if
back
Lake
up.
Lao guy is in
Okay,
the
no,
bay
so like no, so apparently Lake Laga is like way.
or is it out there?
It's to the east of Bossing
Oh,
Say.
it does. Well, this map says it's out there, but again, let's keep in mind this map is fan made,
That's true.
not by the
But it says
creators, not
it's saying that
official.
it's like in some water that's like I don't even see any water in the map.
Yeah, I don't even
Like
see any water there.
that it could be.
Hmm.
So I don't know.
But
I guess
interesting
it's like
theory.
next to
I'm going to
the.
say this is a theory
Yeah, I
that,
mean, I guess it can't really be like Full Moon Bay though, because that's where like the ferry is like going back and forth between, and then just on the
yeah,
other
there's a
side
lot
is
of
like where the Serpent is.
action happening there.
Yeah.
Hmm. But it wouldn't make sense back there. That's not a lake. Huh. But something I was thinking about when we were looking at it earlier.
Yeah.
Okay. But anyways, we will talk more in depth about this whole episode when we come
Hey,
back. We're going to take a short little
we gotta
break.
we gotta
What?
talk about the drill also.
The
So we'll
drill.
get in.
Oh, we didn't even talk about the drill yet.
Yeah, come on. We gotta get through
Sorry,
that,
I'm
and then we'll
cutting
get
right
into
off.
the larger stuff. No, so the drill. Yeah, the other thing that happens in the Serpent's Pass, though, besides the gang, we get
Mhm.
Iroh and Zuko and the Freedom Fighters. And we get Jet back, which is super cool.
Yes. I
Yeah.
love that all the callbacks that we're getting. We're getting Suki, we're getting Jet, we're
Hmm.
getting the Cabbage Man,
Hmm.
obviously. Who else are we getting? Oh, Yue. We're getting a little callback of Yue.
Hmm.
We're getting callbacks
Right,
of
because
everybody.
Sokka's being all emotional about it and refuses to kiss Suki, and I'm like, oh, bag fumbled, bro. Like, when he,
I
what?
fumbled.
He's like, no, I can't. I'm like, all right, man, you do you, I guess. Like,
Oh,
but
Sokka.
it's so funny. He does end up kissing her at the end of the episode, though, and I
Yeah.
like the emotional like arc that he's on, where he's like being super overprotective and stuff, and then by the end, it's like revealed she's like, oh, I just came through this to make sure that you were fine, actually. And he was like, you were protecting me the whole time. It's
He
like,
was like,
yeah, bro,
yeah.
she's like way
But
more
also,
capable than you. Like, no
how did she
offense.
get back?
Get back where?
Get back past the Serpent's Pass.
I guess she just like ran back.
But
Suki can hit. Suki can hit. Well, no, because I don't think that she goes back past the Serpent's Pass. I think that she then cuts across to the same
she
like
probably takes the
station that
ferry.
like Iroh and Zuko are then taking to get in. Is probably
Yeah,
what she does.
it was shown not as far.
Yeah. But that stuff's good. And yeah, getting Jet and the Freedom Fighters back
Mhm.
and like Zuko kind of bonding with them. Their little heist is so funny when they like steal the food. I love the little animation when Zuko uses his swords to put the lids on the bowls and then stack the bowls together and then like stack them all up. He does it super quickly and it's like such a little thing, but like
It's so cool.
it's just great animation in that moment. Yeah, that's the other main thing that happens in the Serpent's Pass. It's just like Jet and the Freedom Fighters like being
Yeah.
reintroduced, and Zuko like being like, "Hey, these guys are like not that bad."
And then them kind of joining the two bad boys in the show. Other two childhood crushes. Love
It's
them.
so funny how Jet just has like basically the exact same introduction in this that he did in like the first episode, where it just like slowly pans up to him and he's like chewing on the like wheat, and it's like, hey, like,
I love it. And
all right.
they say he's chewing on. He used to be chewing on a tree bark or like a little twig, and now he's chewing on wheat. Something different. That they made a point of that in Avatar Extras.
Interesting.
And it's because of the resources that he's around.
Yeah, just the area they're in. Yeah,
But like a little detail like that is so cute. I love that.
It's just so funny that he's just like the same guy, like through and through. Like
he doesn't change.
Yeah,
and he kind of. I like that he kind of goes a little. Well, we'll see these in the next coming episodes, but he kind of goes a little crazy. I love seeing him like that. It's so funny.
But yeah, so there's that. They end up making it across the Serpent's Pass. The one lady goes into labor, and Katara helps deliver a baby, which she apparently has done a lot.
Yeah.
Lore drop that she's just like, oh, I've delivered a ton of babies. Like, it's fine. I'm like, okay, I'm sure.
Sure.
So like
I
they
love
do
that.
that.
Sokka faints.
Yeah, Sokka faints when he's like bringing in the water. It also, though, this episode, which I guess we'll talk about it more when we get into the larger story stuff, but like the emotional stuff for Aang in this episode is good, and like him understanding that. But then, yeah, that's what happens in the Serpent's Pass, and then the drill is a more, not that this episode isn't straightforward, but the drill is like very one track, and the fact that like at the end of the Serpent's Pass, Aang like sees the giant drill that's approaching Ba Sing Se, and he's like, oh, well, we got to destroy this thing.
Like, we got to do this now. Yeah.
And so like the entire episode of the drill with the exception of like the little bit that we see Zuko and Iroh and Jet and the Freedom Fighters. They get like a couple scenes, but for the most part, it's like the gang trying to figure out how they're going to destroy the drill, which is being commanded and manned by Azula and May and Ty Lee, and also the other Fire Nation general dude who's like the guy who's like, this drill is indestructible and like it's a technological marvel and like all this stuff. And so seeing that
the mechanic from the northern
Air Temple episode,
the Air Temple episode, he did the designs for this. We saw the designs for it on
his
one of
little
his blueprints.
Yeah, so getting to see that again, just like planting those little seeds super early on, and seeing the drill, which is just a crazy thing. It's also, I never know how to feel about the like 3D animation in this episode.
Yes, I made a point to say though, it looked good. It looks good, really well. Sometimes there's some shows that you're like, oh, that looks weird, but it fit really well. They blended it nice.
It does a good job of like, I think it's almost meta in the sense where like whenever, because like you see it and then make a huge like show of like how massive and like intricate and all this stuff that it is, because like they're using the 3D animation for it. And I love the like commander being like, this is a like technological marvel that's like blending all of these different elements and stuff. And I'm like, oh hey, like it is doing that. It's a 3D like thing in the show as opposed to like the 2D stuff.
That's such a good point. Yeah.
So like they show all that. I'm like, oh, that's cool. That's a nice little like comment on it. Yeah, I mean, they blend it really well. I still am just like, it sticks out every time you see it because it's not the way the rest of the show looks.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily like doesn't fit in the world, but because it is such a new
thing and like
technology.
It's very much like the next
and like showing how it works.
The little like when it like comes across and like the little leg things and like I mean it's a really cool design and like the way that they showcase it is awesome. But yeah, so they have that, and then it's basically just the gang versus the drill, and then like May and Ty Lee and Azula trying to like thwart that. I love the little like 3-chair throne thing that's in the middle that like has Azula and then like May and Ty Lee to each side. It's just hilarious, and like
what a funny design thing to put in.
And May just being like sitting there like bored, and then whenever Azula's like, oh, we got to make sure that like the little earthbenders at the front like don't stop anything, and they're like, oh, finally. And like also Ty Lee is ridiculous. She drops like 50 people.
The whole thing. What are they? The Terra soldiers? The Terra team?
Terra team, yeah.
Which I thought they said Terror team.
But it's Terra because of Earth.
Terra.
Yeah, terraforming, which makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it's good. I also thought they said Terror at first, and I was like, I mean, I guess that's a good name. Yeah, but like, she just drops all of them by herself. Like the shot when it's just her standing around like all of the bodies, I'm like, damn,
she's like scary. Like after she's like poof,
she's terrifying, honestly.
A great character, yeah.
It's them trying to
her scarier.
I love the contrast between like her capability and her just being like super like flowery and like just like
honestly, that is always one of my favorite tropes, is like a character who's like really sweet and little, but they're like the most powerful of all,
an absolute demon.
Absolute demon. That's always my favorite trope. I think that's so funny.
She embodies that really well. So the episode is like
May moments too.
The gang trying to get in and find the blueprints. And I love how also like efficiently they work though, where like they get in and Sokka's like, oh, we just need to find the blueprints and like get that. And like they do that super easily. They get the blueprints. They like figure out what they need to do. Yeah. And then they start like, I also like how they start using waterbending to like cut through the metal is a super smart way to go about it. But then they figure out that they need to like weaken a bunch of them instead of just like fully taking out like all of them. So then Aang can then, have a final hit from the top and like destroy the whole thing. So we get that. We get them like doing that. And then of course it ends with like a final fight between Azula and Aang on top of the drill, which also for the record, she wipes the floor with him. Yeah, she's gonna kill him if not for the fact that there's other people intervening in this thing. Like in a 1v1, she straight up just demolishes the Avatar.
She will win.
I'm just saying, like Azula's kind of the best. Anyway. Just saying. She like straight up 1v1 and beat the Avatar.
Insane.
It is what it is. But she ends up losing because he does have help from other things. There's other factors at play, including all the sludge stuff that's in the drill and the the boulders being thrown from the top of Ba Sing Se's wall. So like she does end up getting defeated, and of course like the gang saves the day and destroys the drill. I love May at the end whenever, because like she refuses to go through the sewer thing. She's like, I'm not
Yes.
going through all the sludge. And like at the end when she like pops out and she's just like, we lost. It's just
Which
the
I like
most
too, that I almost wonder if, like, because we see her arc at the end that she defies, like,
Azula.
she never liked Azula, really. She
Mm-mm.
never, like, I mean, they're both being forced to do this, but I like her kind of finding her way to get out of doing the work.
I think that
Like,
she's
Zoe's
just
been there.
bored is the number one reason that she starts like doing things. Because like at the beginning of the episode, she's like, oh, finally something to do. And then like when Tylee is like, oh, we need to go through this thing to like help. And May is like, she can burn me as much as she wants. Like, I'm not doing this. Like,
I'm not
like when
getting,
she gets to something that she actually like doesn't want to do, she's like, no, I don't care. Like
yeah, she's like,
Azula
I'm
doesn't.
not doing this.
She's like, no, thanks. Which I think is cool. But yeah, so they eventually like the gang defeats the drill. They destroy it. It gets, they destroy it just in time too, because they make it to where like only like the drill does puncture the wall
Yes,
and like get through, but
it does break through the wall.
it's only the part of it that's like the drill tip itself, as opposed to like the part that would be able to like unload troops into Ba Sing Se. So then they just have a giant drill that's stuck in the side of the Ba Sing Se wall, which is pretty wild. I don't think
Don't
they
they show
ever
in later episodes them cleaning it up?
Oh, they do. I couldn't remember. I couldn't remember them ever.
We'll
like,
get there.
Yeah, we'll get there. But like, that's a pretty big structural weak point now.
Like, how are you going to get rid of that?
Yeah. So that's the drill. That's what happens. Gang versus drill. Gang wins. Aang versus Azula. Azula wins though. So yeah.
Almost.
She definitely does. She's
not
gonna
for some plot interference.
Yeah, if not for other external
Thank
factors.
God.
Yeah, because that'd have been bad. That'd have been real bad. But it just goes to show like how great she is at fighting when she's like not losing her mind.
Yeah,
subtle
that she's like actually like one of the smartest fighters in the whole series.
Yeah,
and she's the most like, I like too that she doesn't underestimate the enemies when they're like, oh, it's nothing. She's like, okay, but we're gonna kill them anyways.
Yeah,
she's like,
we should probably take care of this though.
Yeah, she's like, I'm gonna take care of it though, because that's stupid to leave that.
Yeah,
like, thank you, a smart villain.
Yeah, she's
like,
very
it
smart.
could so easily be like, oh, okay, we'll let them do it, but then they actually could do something. You know, you never know. She's not gonna underestimate people.
Yeah, which is great.
All right. Well, when we come back, we're going to dive more into the episodes and how it contributes to the overall narrative of the series. We will be right back.
Hey, Aspect listener, I'm Robbie.
And I'm Alex, enjoying the show here on the Aspect Network?
Then check out Framing the Force.
We are your one-stop shop for all things in a galaxy far, far away. Each week, we discuss everything from the latest news and releases to the hottest topics in the fandom.
Beyond the films and series, we share our thoughts on every corner of the Star Wars universe, from comics to video games to collectibles and everything in between.
Join us every week as we discuss one of the greatest franchises in film history here on the Aspect Network.
Now, back to the show.
Welcome back to Bending the Narrative. Before the break, we broke down the episodes The Serpent's Pass and The Drill, and now we're discussing how these episodes contribute to the overall series and story in the world of Avatar. But before we get it back into that, I do have to say that I was wrong last week about Toph not bending any of the sand. She does bend. I don't understand why this is in the episode.
Thank you.
Literally, she just like does it for a second, and it doesn't even seem to help at all. And then also, she never sand bends again. So like, what is? I don't understand why this is here. Anyways, I was incorrect. That moment does happen. You were correct, Kate.
That's all I wanted to hear. Say.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I said we looked it up, and that's what happened. Anyways, back to these two episodes. Kate, let's start with you. How do these play into the larger story for Avatar?
Well, we do get Aang's kind of emotional arc here, ending halfway through the whole episode, aka the end of the Serpent's Pass. We get him kind of coming to terms with, he's like, oh, I've been running away from my emotions. And that's something he's always done. Like, that's why he's in this situation. He ran away from, like, he tends to run away from his emotions or avoid them. He ran away in the first place, in the first episode. That's how he ended up in an ice bubble under the sea. But now he's like realizing that, and he's grown, and he's like, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to face this head on. And he hugs Katara, because when he didn't hug Katara, that was really upsetting. That was,
Oh yeah, that's so
not
I love
him.
that moment because it's like I was talking
Mm.
about last week where he does the hard like 180 from in the desert where he's being like too consumed by his emotions.
Mm.
In the beginning of the Serpent's Pass, he like wants to be completely detached from him because he was like, well, that wasn't good, so I'm gonna instead just like not embrace any emotions at all, and like that's the way forward. And like when Katara tries to tell him like, hey dude, like no, you need to like feel your feelings a
Mm.
little bit, and like she's like, come on, like you need a hug, and instead of hugging her he just like does the bow and is like, thank you for your insight, like Katara, and like walks away. And I'm like, bro, you didn't listen at all. Like
What? Yeah.
but yeah, by
We
the end
know
of the
you want to
episode
hug
though,
Katara.
dude,
It's
right,
so
like
sad to
come
see him
on,
just, yeah. It's
it's
so
sad.
sad to see him not as himself.
Mhm.
It's like almost kind of scary, like we were
But
talking
then
about. But
he gets there by the end.
yeah, he gets there by the end. He has this emotional. Oh my gosh, I don't know why this actually made me really cry. When the baby was born and it was all about the
Mhm.
like hope. It was so
They named the
sweet.
baby Hope. Yeah.
Yeah, but also they named the baby Hope. I was like, come on. I
Hey
think
man, I like that
originally
as
it
a
said they
baby
were.
name. I'm also though kind of biased because one of my favorite X-Men characters is named Hope. So
Oh wait, which one is Hope? What is?
Hope Summers.
Okay.
You definitely do not know her. She has not made it into any of the movies or other stuff.
Hmm. Mm-hmm.
She's the
Mm-hmm.
child of Scott Summers. Well, actually, she's not the child of Scott Summers. It's way too complicated to try to get
Like you were
into.
getting into something
I
else.
was
You're like,
gonna
you're
start doing it,
forget
but
I
no, it's
asked.
like it's way too much. Yeah.
Forget I
Anyways.
said anything. I'll just go,
Yeah.
yes, Hope Summers. Moving on. All right.
Yeah.
Um, we do have a big theme in these 2 episodes of second chances. We get a lot of, we
Mhm.
get all these characters coming back, getting their second chance. We get um, Sokka and I was gonna say, well, Sokka and Yue, yes,
Get
and
brought up.
Suki. Yeah, we get a
Mhm.
little bit of that, and then they come back to that.
Mhm.
I love that a lot. That still weighs on him heavily, and we have the moon in the back, always
That
representing
shot
her,
of them like when they're about to kiss
and
and you
it's
just see the moon in the back
coming in
too.
between them. Ah!
It's such a good shot. It's so good.
It's so smart.
Yeah.
Jet and Freedom Fighters. This is their second chance, their
Mhm.
redemption,
Which goes
kind
awry.
of, kind of. Um, Zuko and Iroh with each
Or like
other.
looking for a new life. Yeah.
I love that he mentions, somebody told me that it's better. It was something that Iroh said to him in Zuko Alone. He was like, it's better to travel with people, or I forget what
Mhm.
Zuko says, but he says something about that, which I think is really cute. It's calling back to the Zuko Alone episode, and that the things Iroh says are actually starting to,
Wear off and rub off on Zuko,
yeah.
and he's like kind of listening a little bit. I also
He's so
love that
sweet.
in this at the end of the drill, Zuko takes on Iroh's role for a second because like Iroh gets
Mm,
the tea that's like super cold and he's pissy about it, which is such a funny moment. But then
I
like
love.
he like he uses firebending to warm it up, and
Which why?
Zuko's like, you stupid old man. He's like, for someone who's supposed to be so smart, that was a
Yeah.
really dumb thing to do. Like, why would you do that? And I was like, oh no, it's fine. And like, spoiler alert, it was not fine. Jet saw
Yeah.
that, and he now knows that they're firebenders, and now he's like, these guys are bad. Like,
Which, okay, one thing that I hate about that, why would Iroh do that?
I was so, like, he just wasn't thinking. Like, it was just it was just a slip. Like, he wanted his hot tea. It's the tea. The tea is his like he will just put
It's
that
his
above
weakness, I
everything.
guess.
Like,
Yeah.
he's like, I need hot tea. Like, which is also that's also something I would totally use firebending for. Like if I had
Mhm.
firebending and my drink was cold and I wanted it to be hot, I'd be like, oh well, I can just warm this
I'm
up real
warming this
quick.
up. Like
But
the hot
like
tub.
it's so like it's such an understandable thing to do, but it's such a
Mm,
big misstep on his part. And I love that Zuko's the one who's like, hey dummy, like you should not have done that. Like you've got to be more careful. And like
dummy.
Zuko's right. Like I love the like animation though of Zuko when he comes up to him and he's like arms all wide and his like face
He's
like out.
so
He's
angry.
so angry about it. I'm like, oh yeah, Zuko, be mad.
I love it so much. So many good things in this episode about like another second chance was this couple also too,
Mhm.
because we've seen them previously
Yeah, like getting to
in
see their story
the Zuko
continue to
Alone episode.
progress, and
Mm-hmm.
like also having more of a hopeful ending for that, and like what
Uh-huh.
they get to see. Yeah, that's really nice. It's also too like I know we already talked about it, but Aang's emotional thing, like
Mm,
that will continue to be a through line in the series, and
yeah.
something that like, because like him understanding that he needs to embrace his emotions and not let go of them is the whole reason that he's able to succeed in the end. Like it comes into play with
Mm,
the chakras and his chi and all of that, and then it
mhm,
also, I can never remember if it's the chakras or the chi that they call it in the episode. I'm pretty sure
mm,
it's chakras because I think I said chi last time, and I got
mm.
corrected by Sean, who was like, "No, you idiot, it's chakras." And like now I want to say chakras, and I feel like I'm going to be wrong again. But
He's probably correct you right now. Yeah.
he's probably like furiously typing.
He's typing
Um,
it.
but no, so like it does come into play because like in that moment he's like,
Mm.
no, it is chakras. I was correct this time.
It's
Let's
chakra.
go. I learned from my mistakes. But yeah, like the fact that when
Mm,
it comes to that moment, he's like, no, I'm not going to let go of my emotions. Like that's what makes me who I
mm,
am, and all of that. And then obviously it comes into play like in the finale whenever he like is able to find another way because he's like
mhm.
has his convictions where he's like killing is wrong, I shouldn't do that, and all that. So like it's
Even
again
though
just
he
the
killed
through
that
line of
baby in the
him.
last episode. But
Yeah.
whatever.
It's just him like understanding and like getting on that correct emotional path and like
Mm,
figuring out what he needs to do and like getting to that place is a really big deal.
yeah. I
That's
also
good.
love too that this is in these two episodes, I feel like before the gang has always been running away from fights. And
Yeah,
the focus has been about them running away from Zuko, then Azula, and getting away from all this trouble. And now every fight that they come upon, like these
they're being
past fights,
proactive.
yeah, they're being proactive. They're hitting them head on.
Hmm.
They're like, we're not going to run away from this. We're going to solve this right now. And
They
he's like, I'm going to end
also
this right now.
whipped that serpent's ass for the record. Like
Whip that serpent's ass.
it was really not even close. Like they were running circles around him, literally created a whirlpool and like slammed him into
Literally
the
running
wall.
circles,
Like
skating circles around him.
it was not remotely close. They absolutely obliterated that. And then yeah, that's a good point where they like are very much like facing things head on at this point
Mm-hmm.
and seeing the problem like, all right, well, we got to do something about this. Like they see the drill and he's like, all right, well, we got to like figure out a way to deal with this. And then they deal with it. I
And he
also love,
fights Azula,
yeah, he
like
like fights her head on.
gets a rock fist to her face.
Hmm. He
To
also,
your
I
face? Where
mean,
does he hit her?
he had, no,
He
he
hits her.
does. Yeah,
Yeah.
he does. After getting his ass whooped, but you know,
And his ass whooped.
no, I do love though that I can't remember. I think it's at the beginning of the fight with Azula. It might be a little bit earlier that, but where he makes the comment, Aang is like, "I wish I could metal bend."
Yes.
He,
Yes.
he literally is.
Foreshadowing.
He's like, "I wish I could metal bend," and it's like, "Oh, okay. Well, we'll see that
Huh?
relatively soon. That is going to be a thing." I wish I could remember the episode that actually shows up in because I should have. Can't even remember if it's in this book or not.
I'm pretty sure it's in season 3.
That makes sense. I feel.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But yeah, the fact
But
that
yeah,
like
we'll face off. Yeah.
they are laying that foundation down though, where they do mention that as like an idea, which again is something that I feel like the first time watching this you would not really think about as
Yeah.
being a thing. Like you're not going to be like they're so smart for having that as like a like where they did think about that where they're like, oh, this would be a
There's so many,
cool
like,
like idea,
I
and it
love
makes
that. That's
sense
my
in
favorite thing in
hindsight.
a show. Mm-hmm.
Like it's one of those things where like looking back you're like, oh, of course, like that makes so much sense, but like how do you think of that in the first place, dude? Like I feel like I would not have connected those dots. And I
Yeah.
also do wonder if that's like I wonder if that line came first and then they were like, oh, we should
Mm.
do something
They're
with
like,
that, or if
wait.
they had the
Mm.
idea for that and then they put the line in there as a little
Mm-hmm.
like foreshadowing for that being like
Yeah.
it's a real like I wonder which of those like came
Because I
before
mean,
the
they're
other.
showing that the Fire Nation is becoming almost like everything that they have now is metal.
Yeah.
So I think they were like, okay, how are we going to defeat this? And it's like, Toph
Hmm.
is like
The
really
best.
amazing. She would be the one. Like, it does make sense.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So I wonder what came first, chicken or
that's
egg.
a huge implication though for the series and the universe as a whole, because
Mm.
obviously like that gets blown up by the time Korra comes around, and like there
Yeah.
are a lot of metal benders and that kind of thing. So like that's a really big like lore and just like world changing thing that comes
Mm.
to this universe. And like we get just a little like offhanded, like it's a joke
Mhm.
in this episode, like he's just like, oh,
Yeah.
I wish I could do this. But
And
that's
I
a
love,
really
like, one of the main things I love about the show is like, it's something that you think would be in all shows, but it isn't. Planning ahead. You're like, you can
yeah,
so
right.
honestly see, like, okay, they knew where they were going with this. It's so
Hmm.
refreshing. which also is why I always recommend to everybody Attack on Titan. It's another show that does that. As you watch it like a second time, you're like, oh my God, it was there the whole time. Okay.
Yeah.
Everything was actually art. They knew
Man,
where they were going since day one.
You've been campaigning so hard for me to watch Attack on Titan. The audience in between breaks and segments, she's been like, "You gotta watch Attack on Titan." By the way,
you will love Attack on Titan.
I'll get to it eventually.
It's a bit bloodier,
probably.
definitely bloodier, definitely more tough and gory, but
yeah,
really good. If you like shows where the writer planned ahead.
Yeah, which again, to your point, you would feel like most shows would do that, but it's surprising how many don't.
How many don't? Yeah,
I have like no idea where they're going. I don't get. That's like one of the things that I've never understood, because I straight up, whenever I'm writing a story, it's so hard for me to begin writing if I come up with the beginning and the ending of a story at like the same time. Like I can't be writing the story if I don't know what it's going to. Like I have to have that endpoint in mind. So the fact that some shows can just like start and they're like, we don't really know like what's going on down the line.
Yeah.
Like, how are you operating? Like you need something to be guiding you. You can't just, I don't know. And I know that some people don't write like that. Like they're like,
people wonder why the best media is the best media, like why that became the best. And it's a lot of it, I think, is they knew where they were taking the story. Like even with Harry Potter, I know J.K. Rowling as terrible person, but she did say something. She was like, "Oh, I had the ending in mind first, and then I."
Yeah, and I think it's one of those things. There's obviously like some exceptions. I know some people do, right, where they like just start writing and then like they wherever the story ends up taking them, they go. But I feel like even in those instances, a lot of the time they're like, "Oh, I have a rough idea of where the ending is." It might change some, or it might be different than like what it was at the start, but there's still like a rough idea. I just feel like it's much like even those exceptions where if they don't have any idea about the ending, like those are the exception, not the rule as to like why something is good. Like most of the time, if something is like really good, it's because they probably planned it out a little bit. And the show does that.
Thought about it for a second.
Very well. And you can see that just in these couple episodes where like you get so many threads coming together, like everyone's going to the same focal point. We're getting these returning characters, like we have Suki, Jet, the Freedom Fighters, like Azula May and Ty Lee are like converging on the same spot. Like the gang is around. Like we get these random side characters that are also showing up. Like we got the Cabbage Man in this episode. We got the like random couple that we saw just like for a sequence in Zuko alone. Like they're also here now. Like there are so many different little things where like they've paid attention. Yeah, and they put this all together and like it's going towards the same end goal and like end thing, and it just feels so cohesive. It's this weird thing of like making the world feel bigger and not necessarily smaller, but like more connected at the same time, where it's like there's all these things that were like super scattered, and that's what like builds the world out and makes it feel like huge, but then also like intelligently weaving them back together is a really impressive thing to like be able to do, and the show just like pulls that off continuously.
Bars, Alex. Bars.
Thanks. Sometimes I get going and I'm like, yeah, this is good.
Sometimes we take it, thanks.
Yeah.
But it's so true. I think that's what makes this, because I feel like a lot of times when I'm looking up Avatar or I'm like Avatar best moments, a lot of pieces I think are from these two episodes. Like I remember these episodes, I feel like from originally watching the show, I feel like I remember a lot from these two episodes. These were very like pivotal points or like a lot of some of the best moments. I mean, also some of the great humor. We got some of the best blind humor in this one too.
Yeah, I was about to say there was a lot of blind jokes both in the desert and this one also. I love the moment in the drill when they like are going underneath for a second and it like goes like full black and Sokka's like, oh my god, I like can't see anything in here, and Toph's like, oh, the horror.
Oh, no.
She doesn't say that, but she's like, oh, how awful. And he's like, right,
just goes,
sorry.
It's
so funny.
I also love that I kind of hate it, but it's understandable and it's right for the character that she doesn't go on the ship. I wish I could see her do more, because I feel like Toph. Is it crazy to say that I think she could 1v1 that drill? I think she could take it on herself.
Yeah, well, I mean, she does kind of try. Like she tries to stop it like underneath and just like doesn't. I
feel like she could do more than that.
Also, do we even see her after the moment when she like whenever they like are inviting her up and she's like, no, I'm not going in that like metal monstrosity, and she's like, I'll do what I can out here, and she like puts the pillar up against it to try to stop it and starts getting like pushed back. I don't think we see her again in the episode until like they're on top of the
until
wall
the end. Yeah.
Like she's just been doing that the whole time, I guess, which is fine. I mean, she can't do like that much I
Yeah.
guess, outside of that. But yeah, that's fine. I love
That's
also how like incompetent the Earth general dude is,
Yes.
and whenever he like has to go back to Aang and he's like, please help.
He's just like a little pencil pusher. Like
Yeah.
that's
He's like, no, we've
he
got it
does
all under
that.
control. And then his plan gets thwarted in like 2 seconds by Ty Lee just bodying 50 people. And he's like,
Oh,
oh, actually, we do need help.
she is the best. I love that we have the soldier explaining that too. He's like, my G was blocked by these 2 girls, and
And Katara's like, oh, Ty Lee.
uh,
Yep, she's terrifying.
these bitches again.
She's like, she
shop
knows.
around 2. I'm
Yeah,
back.
she's like, she knows the human body more than like, and I'm like, I mean, yeah, she just like destroys everyone in no time at all. It's not even close.
Terrifying. But I do love that Katara does get to slam her in the mud.
Yeah, funny moment.
Funny
It's a good
moment,
moment.
well deserved. I also love too. We got a lot of good, like you were talking before, but like world building. We get a lot about just a little bit about Ba Sing Se. We're still just creeping into that territory, but we're getting to learn a lot about the history there too. Like even Toph talks about, oh, the only other time this was
Breached.
broken in was Iroh or
Yeah.
the Dragon of the West.
It's
But
so
she
funny
doesn't
how like
connect the dots.
quickly they're able to like undermine the general dude because he's like, oh, the walls have never been breached, and she's like, except for that one time, and he's like, yeah.
It's like, oh, well, whatever. I also
Yeah.
like that he talks about, oh, Ba Sing Se, it means like solid city or like impenetrable, city, but Na Sing Se.
He's
is-
like, it's not Na Sing Se.
And he's like, which
all
does mean penetrable city.
right,
Which I
interesting,
actually
but
don't know
that's
if
like,
that. It says it translates to eternally solid city. So I wonder if that's just another. I wonder if Na Sing Se does translate to not. He's looking it up. I hear it. I
am looking it up. Yeah,
is
so it apparently, yeah, Ba Sing Se means impenetrable city. I'm gonna Google what Na Sing Se.
Na Sing Se. Which great joke.
Yeah.
That's
apparently in like, I mean, yeah, it's just because of that line where like it says that like that means penetrable city. Like, so
that's
like,
so genius.
I guess
love the
the like
copywriting of
the
this.
ba is like the m like
Mm.
prefix. Yeah, it's a prefix, not a suffix. I know grammar.
You got it.
But that's so funny that that's just like a random thing where he's like, that's why it is this, because it's impenetrable. Like, come on, guys.
Come on, guys. I love that so much. But we also get to a little. I saw on Avatar Extras, they had information about the uniforms of the soldiers on the wall of Ba Sing Se. They're based on Chinese armor from the Qing Dynasty, actually. So I like that we
Makes
get
a
to
lot of
see a lot
sense.
of. Yeah, I like that the Earth Kingdoms. Like we do see. We talked about how all of the nations are inspired by different Asian cultures, and I think Earth Kingdom is heavily, or Ba Sing Se is heavily, I feel like, inspired by Chinese.
Yeah, like I feel like definitely more of the Chinese inspiration, whereas the Fire Nation is more of the like classic like feudal
Japanese.
Japan, yeah, and like that kind of those vibes. Which I mean, it also makes sense to having the like giant wall in Ba Sing Se, you know,
because of the Great Wall of China.
Wall. yeah, you kind of like
didn't put that
together. Yeah, in case that somehow went over your head. Yeah, that's the big thing there. Yeah, it is cool seeing that and like more of their culture. I also love seeing the like, we only see it briefly because of when the drill like goes through the wall, but like all the farmlands and stuff on the like outer edges of Ba Sing Se. I just love, I don't know why, like the visual of like the different farmland patches and things I think always looks super cool. Like the different color, you know, things where it's like just looks like a quilt almost. Like I just, that's a visual that I think
artistic thing to do.
Yeah,
it even
it's
looks
just
pretty on the map. Like you see it on the map. It's really, because that's what you see from planes too. I feel like
right. You just see like the crisscross like pattern and all that, the different blocks. I just like seeing that. I think it's a cool visual like motif. So we get to see that a little bit. We still haven't seen the like city proper yet.
Yeah, we've only seen, and then the monorail, the earth-bending monorail. Love that too. I'm
which
already,
is also so sick.
Loving the innovation here and how
like
we
whenever
use
you
earthbending
see
in this city.
Yeah, when you see Zuko and Iroh like getting onto the monorail, and then like the earthbenders just at the back like going forward. I'm
Reminds
like, oh
me
man,
of
that's
the
like
mail delivery system.
Oh yeah, and oh my god, blanking on the name, but yeah, that city.
Omashu.
Yes, Omashu. Thank you. It's like,
Mhm.
I don't know
Mhm.
how I
No,
forgot
I had
about
to think of it too. I was like, oh my God.
that. Like, there's like multiple episodes there, but you know, it's fine. Yeah, it definitely, it's like that, but like taken to the like extreme
Yeah.
and like blown up
I
more.
love that because it says too on Avatar Extras that like a little fun fact that they had was before the monorail was invented, it actually took several days to get from the outer wall to the inner wall. So, like on the map, you could see how where is this right there? How huge Ba Sing Se is and how much of a space there is between the inner
Yeah.
wall and the outer wall.
Which I love too, and we'll get into it, but like, because I don't really get into it this episode because we're not in the city yet, but like the differences in the sections of Ba Sing Se and like how those systems work and like all of that stuff. There's a lot of lore stuff
Which
that gets
Attack on Titan fans, if you like
the campaign
living
never
in
stops.
it never stops. If you like the politics of that, you will love Attack on Titan.
Yeah. You got me, I guess. I'll start
Sounds like I
watching it
got
soon.
paid to advertise that.
That'd be great, honestly. But
Sorry.
yeah, there's a lot of lore stuff that
Um,
starts getting introduced with these episodes.
a lot of good lore stuff. Also, great fighting. I think they're all. We get a lot of great fights choreographed by the great Sifu Kisu, who is their, like, who helped choreograph a lot of the fights. They look legit, and we get great fighting in this episode. Everybody's doing a kick-ass job. And we get the great, that great battle between, like we talked about, Zul and Aang.
It's fantastic 1v1. Yeah.
That's fantastic 1v1. All right. Is there
anything
anything we haven't talked about yet about these episodes?
I don't think so. I think we hit all of the things because we got like Jet. I mean, I guess the like, I don't think we like talked about it a lot, but like Jet figuring out that they're firebenders and like being real pissed about that and how that'll come back into play. Like that'll be a thing.
Which this will come back.
Yeah, they're just like ominously following them onto the train, which is, you know, we'll
I
see
love
that
getting
later.
excited for the next episodes. I think that's such a great thing, like a good sign for a show that if you're rewatching it, you keep getting excited for the next episodes.
Yeah.
That just feels like a good sign.
I do think it's, I get the name that they called like these two when they put it together. It's like the Secrets of the Fire Nation, but also not really. Like, I guess it's like referring to the drill being like the secret thing that they've been working on, but I'm like, that's a pretty like open secret.
Yeah, because they do mention that
a lot of like thing. And then, what you were talking about earlier with like maybe on the other side of the Serpent's
they're
Path,
doing
like
something secret over there.
Whatever they're doing. But yeah, I don't know. It's like, it feels like an odd title for these two episodes, kind of. I feel like.
I agree.
They don't like, because that's not really the focus of either episode. Is like, it's not like they're like uncovering a plot by the Fire Nation or anything, or like, like it's very like the Serpent's Passage is about the serpent and like crossing the pass, and the drill is about the giant ash drill that they have to stop. Like it's not like a huge secret.
Like I don't really know why they were. I think it was put together. I think because the Serpent's Pass ends kind of on an emotional high. Like we get a big
cathartic
emotional sequence there. We end on an emotional high, and then the next one is just straight action. So it's like a good balance, I'd say. I think those two episodes really balance each other out.
Yeah.
Keeps you wanting more. I mean, but who doesn't want more of Avatar?
Interesting title convention, though. I thought
interesting
I was like,
I agree.
I don't. Okay, sure, guys. I mean, it's a cool title though to like name it. Like that's a good like catchy thing.
I would name it like Fire Nation's done it again. What would it all be? Fire Nation's at it again.
Yeah, that's a good one. But yeah, no, I think those are all of the things that I can think of. All
right, well. Thank you guys for tuning in to Bending the Narrative this week. Next week, finally, we will get inside Ba Sing Se and we get to explore it in the city, in the episode City of Walls and Secrets. But first, Alex, where can people find you online?
You can find me online at the Alex Batts. That's BATTS on both Twitter and Instagram, and just Alex Batts on Blue Sky if you're on there.
And you can find me online at Kate the Official on Instagram.
Very awesome. And please be sure to subscribe here to The Aspect on YouTube and any platform where podcasts are found. Please give us a like, leave a comment, turn on that notification bell so you never miss an episode. And you can also follow us on Twitter/X, Instagram, and TikTok at The Aspect Co. Huge thank you to Peter Fraser for providing our series music. And again, thank you so much for listening.
And Flamio Hotman.
Hey, thank you for tuning in.
If you enjoyed this show, then be sure to subscribe here to The Aspect so you never miss an episode.
And be sure to check out some of our other shows and videos on the Aspect Network.
Thank you so much for listening, and Flamio Hot Man.